So something I forgot to do yesterday is that in your manuals you have some homework, a few questions. We'll be covering this in yesterday and Saturday, 2 weeks. If you have any questions about those, please let me know. Okay, if something's not clear. You have an assignment, which is to write the Dinacharya protocol for yourself for the winter season. Okay, I want to make a note here. When we're talking about the winter season, we're going to understand winter season as a place with 4 seasons. Okay? A place with 4 seasons, because when we do Rutacharya, we'll see that Rutacharya was taught in India according to 6 seasons, because that's what they have. So in Northern Hemisphere, here we have 4 seasons, and then because we live in a subtropical and tropical climate, we have 2 seasons. So everything is different, but I think it would be more appropriate if we just get the model of 4 seasons. We define spring, summer, fall, and winter, and then we will talk about Miami, because that's where we live right now, okay? And then we'll see the 2 seasons, how it plays out. So when we talk about the winter season, we're gonna think New York, all right? And then a friend or family member of a different constitution for another season. And again, that season will be whatever you pick out based on the 4 season cycle. We did a pre-test, we're going to do the same test. Next Sunday we meet, and you have some Sanskrit to learn, most of them related to what we're going to be doing, okay? And then I think Francis was mentioning to me that next Sunday we're going to have something, we're going to have some clients coming over.
Yes, we will have people from the street for our student clinic. So you'll have real people to work on. And now that you have tongue and pulse and face and Dinacharya, don't worry, he'll be here to guide you guys. But it's very exciting.
This is the real deal.
It's real.
I am telling you, there are not the schools out there that they do this after just how long have you been doing this? 2 months, 3 months? I mean, normally you have to wait until the 2nd year to get into clinic. So this is, well, some of them do it on the 1st year, but it takes a long time. So it's so good that we have already people on Sundays to do this. It's going to be so much fun. So you already went through all the routine about the tongue and the eyes and the pulse and everything. Oh my God, this is going to be amazing. You're going to love it. So you'll see about it. I mean, in the beginning, the pulse, we're just looking at Prakriti and Vikriti. And then whatever you pick out, great. But it'll be in the beginning, we just do Prakriti and Vikriti. That will be more than enough, okay? Good. So, so we left a couple of things yesterday. We're going to be talking about 2 aspects of Triadas, the Stamba, which is covered diet, Ahara. So today we're going to focus more on Nidra, on Brahmacharya. Nidra is sleep. So So yesterday we saw a bunch of rules that Ayurveda recommends, or directions that Ayurveda recommends for taking food. Okay, as you can see, a diet is much more than just pick out fresh items, try to eat organic and all that. There's a whole protocol that goes along with it. It's the same with the sleep, and the same with righteousness, or with truthfulness, which is a type. Here. Are there any questions from yesterday? So what do we get out of sleep? Why do we sleep?
Regenerate.
Regenerate what?
The mind and the body.
Okay. Regenerate the mind and the body. Yes. What else?
Connect to the universe.
Connect to the universe. Okay.
Yes.
Basically, sleep is nourishment. It's nourishment. Sleep is coffee. So sleep is nourishment. It provides us with nourishment, with strength. It helps us regulate our strength, and also gives us vigor and vitality. It's a time, what you said, that's the exact word, it's a time of regeneration. Now, that's why it's so important, because there are different cycles in sleep. And when we are dreaming, that computer in the vehicle is still working, it's still doing stuff automatically, you know. And what it's doing is just, it's said that dreams are a combination of samskaras, mental impressions that come from either this life or past lives. So it's a mix of samskaras with whatever activities we have been engaged during the day. And it's kind of a hodgepodge where everybody goes and where everything goes, and that's why it's so confusing sometimes, right? Because the mind is just playing all these things and there's not much order to it. However, there is prophetic dreams, there is times during the sleep cycle where dreams can become prophetic. If you get up very early in the morning and do meditation or do chanting or any of these activities, and then you reach a place where you are, let's say, a little bit in bliss, you know, you connected really to your essence, and then you go back to bed and you fall asleep, you get into what's called somebody called it the nectar, and this has to be experienced to know what it is, because you will get into dreams that are absolutely amazing and states of higher consciousness, that state where you are half asleep, half awake, and you know that you're dreaming of something which is just amazing. And it takes you to you can see a lot of things there. There's a lot of prophecy, and at that point, you have to try to know what it feels. So it gives us an idea of how, and there is a lot of readings about dreams and all these things. So there is a whole science behind nidra, behind sleep. Now, there are 6 types of sleep according to the classics. The first one is just natural sleep, and it just happens when out of fatigue, the body is fatigued, the mind is fatigued, and then the mind disengages from the body, basically. Okay, and that's when we fall asleep. So that's the natural cycle of the day. The second one is caused because of high tamas. When we are very tamasic, we just start working in very low frequencies, and then we feel this stupor, this feeling of tiredness all the time. People that are very tamasic, they sleep a lot. And they sleep a lot even during the day, okay? They kind of sleep 10, 12 hours at night and then go back to sleep, okay? That's a very tamasic state, okay? Third one that might seem related to it, but it's not, is high kapha. Because we always connect kapha with tamas. There's debate on that. Okay, there's debate on the gunas and the doshas and how they connect to each other. But when there is high kapha, evidently because of the gunas of kapha, we fall into this state of apathy and dense and gross and all the other gunas of kapha, and then sleep comes. That's why it's not recommended to take naps in Ayurveda. Because if you take naps, what happens is that you increase kapha. So a kapha person should never ever take a nap unless they're very sick, because then their kapha is going to increase and then they're going to feel even worse. And even for, yes?
Would this be an exception to people with Vata constitution?
Yes, that's what I'm talking. However, even for a Vata or a Pitta person, a nap doesn't have to be like a part of dinacharya, part of the regular routine. Because we're always looking at the increase of kapha. Now, Vata people need a lot of nourishment. So if they didn't have a good night of sleep, or if they're engaged in a strong demanding physical or mental work, a Vata person might need a nap, a 20-minute nap, and that would be allowed, okay? Pittas, in the summertime, or when the weather is very hot, because if we were in the summer in the southern hemisphere, then the summertime would be cold. When the weather is, the climate is very hot and humid, like here, a Pitta person might need a little rest after lunch as a way of cooling down the body. To be more like cooling down. It's not even needed like a sleep. It's more like a rest in a cool environment. If they take a little nap of 10 or 15 minutes, that's okay. But that would be mostly in the summer, in hot weather. In the winter time, there should be no excuse for this for a pitta person because there is more energy, as we will see in Rupacharya. So there's no call for a nap. Okay. The fourth type of sleep would be because of an injury, an external injury, concussion or something like that. Even though they say we shouldn't sleep in concussion, but it will come to you. The fifth is just very related to it, and it's just disease. When we are sick, sickness is a time which is, we hate it, because we don't want to be sick, we don't want to be in pain, blah, blah, blah. But it's actually a time of tremendous learning. And above all, a spiritual learning. My experience is that I evolve spiritually when I get sick, which might not be pleasant for me, because I want that to end. But then when it ends and I reflect on what happened during those days or weeks or months, then I see the tremendous benefit that it had on me. So we have to start looking at sickness, as illness, as an opportunity, a huge opportunity. We have to make friends with sickness. We have to make friends with sickness. Here we go back to mindfulness. If we really look at what's going on, we'll see that there is a tremendous opportunity for us to grow. Finally, the sixth time of sleep is the advent of night. Charaka puts it, or the cycles of the day. So when the night comes, evidently there are a number of physiological things that are happening, and we just feel like the need to go and sleep. Okay. Naps can also be taken by children, as we all know, if you have kids. The elderly, normally they do nap. That's because they don't have so much strength, so much vitality anymore, so they need that extra boost, so to speak. And also, we may need a nap if we have been exercising too hard or working too hard, physically speaking, or we have been traveling and, for many hours. Nowadays, we travel on a plane for many hours, we get to a place. I mean, we need that jet lag and whatnot. So those are exceptions. But basically what we're doing in those times is just paying attention to what our body is telling us. I'm exhausted. Okay, I'll take a nap. I mean, that's just what dinacharya is, to be all the time connected to what your body is telling you. Okay? Your body is wise, your mind is not. A nap, uncalled for, will increase kapha, and that would translate into headaches, for example, heaviness in the body. tightness in the chest. I don't know if you have felt this after a long nap, you know, like you cannot breathe properly. It's like, I don't feel good. Even edema and even fever in certain circumstances. So that's, and in any case, unless we're extremely tired, these naps that are recommended for Vata or Pitta in the summertime, they should, I mean, they're not to exceed like, 20 minutes or 25 minutes, whatever. It's a power, what we call a power nap, okay? In a few minutes, we're going to go into the Dinacharya and we're going to see what time we should be getting up in the morning. So we'll leave it for that time. But it's important to understand how many hours each one of the doshas sleeps or is recommended for them to sleep. Vata type, being the one that needs more nourishment, is advised to sleep between 8 and 9 hours. Okay? Even 10 in cases of debility or sickness. Pitta person should be fine between 7 and 8 hours. That again, depending on vitality and depending on the subdosha, being it Kapha or Vata. The Pitta Vata needing more sleep, the Pitta Kapha needing less. And a Kapha person basically needs to sleep 5 to 6 hours. Pure Kapha. We're looking at the Kapha Pitta and we're looking at 6-7 hours. So the time to go to bed will depend on the time we get up, and we'll see it later. Okay? My teacher used to say that you treat a vata as a flower or as a butterfly, and you treat a kapha as basically as your enemy. In Ayurveda, they recommend kapha to sleep on the floor. Do you know that? To sleep on the floor because it's uncomfortable basically, and it's a hard place to sleep, so it doesn't get too soft, because soft is a kapha guna. And we don't want the kapha to get too cozy in that position, because then they will sleep forever, because kapha tends to like to sleep for... Yes, then kapha will sleep for 25 hours, you know. So what we're trying to do is to avoid that. So kapha, in that respect, would be better sleeping on a very hard surface. And in Ayurveda, being a little bit extreme on those things, they would say just kapha sleeps on the floor. After 5 hours, you're just gonna get up. I mean, it's so hard, you're not comfortable. Okay. In Ayurveda, they also say that the Pitta in the summertime, they are to sleep on the drinking in the moon rays, which are very cooling. So they would say that they sleep on the terrace, on the attic, right? Just under the moon rays, because they are very cooling, and that would be very good for Pitta. But in general, one is not supposed to be sleeping outside in Ayurveda. It's supposed to be sleeping inside. You know why? Because we're trying to create in sleep, we're trying to create conditions when we are safe, comfortable and safe. So we need to be safe. If we are not safe, remember that fear is one of the problems with insomnia. So if we don't feel safe, secure, then there's going to be something in the subconscious that's not going to allow us to sleep. What about if somebody comes and robs me or kills me or beats me up or whatever? And it happens because you see the homeless, sometimes these drunkards come and they beat them up. So that's a concern for anybody. You don't know who's going to show up, who's completely nuts, you know? So that's when we sleep in a place that's safe. So even somebody says, oh, why don't you lock up every single door in the house? Well, if you feel safe doing that, then do it. Don't listen to those people, because if you don't do it, you're going to have this thing in your subconscious that somebody might break in, okay? So that's important to do. Insomnia, which is one of the main problems with sleep, can cause tremendous derangement. I mean, sleep deprivation is not a joke. It will cause mental problems. You can go crazy with sleep deprivation. I don't know if you've ever, those of you who do yoga or have gotten into yogic practices have gone into some type of sleep deprivation technique or a workshop or a seminar or whatever, and then felt the consequences of sleep deprivation. Has anybody experienced serious sleep deprivation?
In my case, my mother has.
Your mother has?
Yeah, so her husband was ill for many, many years, and he was up the entire night. So she was up with him, and got to a point where she just ran into the streets, just wanting to, a car hit her. She was so, and until he passed away more than 5 years ago, and she still has insomnia. So it's something that stayed with her.
Yeah. Everybody can have a lot of that. I had an experience with sleep deprivation, and I went crazy. I went nuts. Totally nuts. But you start getting, you lose groundedness. So you start getting into the subtle planes very easily. So you start perceiving things from the subtle planes. In my case, for example, I was working at home at that time in the computer, in the desk, and the door was behind me, the door in the room, not the main door. The door in the room was behind me, and I was working, and every so often I would just turn around because I thought somebody was coming in. And I could feel that somebody was coming in all the time. So I was starting to feel whatever was around, entities or whatever. So that was making me very uncomfortable, of course. You see, so that's the beginning of these things. So you're in a state of restlessness all the time. Then it gets worse. You start seeing things. You start seeing colors. You start seeing all kind of stuff. And eventually you get to a place where you're not reasoning out. Your mind just doesn't know where it is. And then you get into frustration and you want to kill yourself, basically.
Yeah.
You want to kill yourself. You even lose sensory perception. I remember on those times I put a knife through my thumb, and I didn't even feel it. I was cutting something, I went like this, and I put the knife through the thumb, and I just pull it out, and with this calmness, not normal, I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, "Can you bring me some alcohol and or something and cotton or something?" And she said, "What happened?" I said, "Just cut myself." So she comes and she says, "They never like." I'm like, "There, does it hurt?" I'm like, "No, it's not. There's nothing." That's not normal. So sleep deprivation is not a joke. So it needs to be treated. It needs to be treated. And when we go into things like this, spiritually speaking, we have to be careful. It's not a joke either. So when we come to the West, when we bring all these techniques to the West, and then we start getting up so early in the morning to do our sadhana. But then we have a full day of work and activities, and then we cannot go to sleep the time it's required because we still have family things to do. Then we run into sleep deprivation, and we have to be careful. It's not like, oh yeah, I have to do my sadhana, I have to be so spiritual, because the yogis that wrote down all these things for us, they didn't have a full day of activities in front of them, you know. They all,
It's very,
pretty much all the time.
it's very challenging to juggle a profound, deep practice and have to be out there in the world and work 7-8 hours a day.
That's what the times of what we're supposed to do are in the classics as well. So there is a time when, after the age of 55 at the time, not 65 or 70, we retire, and then we can devote our whole life to learn who we are and what we are and all the other stuff. But until then, we have our hands full. So we can do, yes, we can still be in mindfulness, we can still do our sadhana and everything, but we have other things to do. So we have to know how to juggle it, and what we have to do, we have to do. And that's to a certain extent more important than the other stuff. There will be time for the other stuff. So you have to be careful with that, unless you just decide to renounce this and go to a cave in the Himalayas. That's fine too. That's cool too. As long as you're not escaping. Oh my God, what was that? Yeah, that's another story. That's another story. Pretty much these days, if you were not born in India, we don't have to go to any cave. If we were born here, it's because we have to be here. The sadhus were born in India for a reason, because there's this tradition and they have it in them, and that's where they go to the cave, because it's so ingrained in them and that's their work. But we're born here, so that's because we have something to do here. Our learning is here. Going into the cave is escaping, period.
You can visit, but...
You can visit and regenerate like in
Right.
sleep, okay? So sleep is a kind of death. That's what it is. It's a kind of death. We can learn a lot about death in sleep. There's a point in sleep that's very important, and that's deep sleep. That's what you were referring to, that we go, what do you say? We go...
Connect with the neighbors.
Connect. So in deep sleep, what happens basically, going back to that vehicle with the computer and the driver, what happens in deep sleep is that the driver basically disconnects the computer and just goes for a walk to meet his friends or her friends, okay? And just leaves the vehicle to rest for a while, which is so much needed for that vehicle to go back to normal. And at that time, we disconnect completely. We go out of embodiment 100%, okay? And that is, to me, death. So, if we understand this, and we understand that the essence comes back to take care of the vehicle, which could extrapolate it to Mahasamadhi, the death of the vehicle, and see that the essence, the driver will come back and just get another vehicle and continue doing his thing. If we can not understand this but integrate, then the fear of death might not be that big. And the understanding of death from people that we love, there will be grief, of course, but it can be, ameliorated a little bit, okay? Insomnia causes an increase of vata and pitta, both. And causes dryness in the body. Pittas will become easily aggravated when they haven't slept enough. Vatas basically cannot function. A vata cannot function without sleep. Food is very important for a vata. Sleep, I think, is even more important than for a vata. A vata with no sleep is just gone. Don't ask them to do anything. There will be a mess, a total mess. So a vata needs to get their sleep no matter what. Okay? And as you can see, I said it causes dryness, and dryness is basically vata. Okay? What are the reasons for these, the causes of insomnia? Stress is a big one these days. Diet can be. Eating very heavy meals at night will cause insomnia. Disrupting the cycles of sleep, not going to sleep at the right time, we'll see it later. Fear, anger, worry. Today those are humongous. Working night shifts. Vata person working in a bar as a barman or whatever. I have seen a few of the people that work in South Beach and in the bars. Many of the girls that work there, very young girls, they're a mess, all of them. Big mess. Most of them they're pittas or pitta vatas. The pitta vatas, I won't tell you how they are. And eventually they're doing drugs, of course, because they cannot maintain that. Going back to sleep at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning every other day, and then they get up and they have breakfast, and then they want to exercise, of course, and they go exercise, and by the time they have a meal, it's like 2 p.m. or it's a mess. The whole cycle is disrupted, and there's nothing you can do. So people that work night shifts, it's against nature, basically. Who can take that? Kapha pitta. Other than that, no way. Why are you laughing?
I would mention.
Oh my God! So we know. What do you do? What do you do for a living?
I work at the Hard Rock Casino.
So you know what I'm talking about.
I do, but you see, I've been doing it for a very long time. I think it's just I have that bit,
What time do you go to bed?
5 in the morning,
What time do you get up?
around 11, 12.
You don't sleep a lot.
Hmm?
You don't sleep a lot. 6 hours.
11.
Are you a pitta? Pitta vata? 6 hours. When you feel tired?
No, I don't drink coffee. No.
Okay.
When I function on my own energy. I'm good. Actually, it doesn't bother me. It bothers me. The cigarettes don't bothers me. Everything else in there. But the hours don't bother me. I think I just regret that.
What do you have your breakfast?
Not just when I wake up. Maybe an hour I'll have a smoke.
So you eat twice a day, or?
3 times. Twice. Yeah. I eat sometimes nice.
How old are you, if I may ask?
Oh God, I just turned 39 yesterday.
Yesterday? Wow, very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. You turn how?
39.
39? It's good to look out for another job already. It would be good to start looking for another job.
I know. I always knew.
Your body can't take it so long. And after you get to the 4th floor, something happens.
About the what?
After you get to the 4th floor, I mean after you turn 40, something kind of happens. And it is like you start paying for everything you did the previous 20 or 30 years. I don't know,
I'm
it's
sure.
just a moment of that. A lot of people talk about that, but you have to hit 40 to know what it is. So your body will start craving for nourishment in a few years, probably. So it'll be a good time to shift it to something else. Again, the patterns. I mean, it will take you a while to go back to.
No, because every time I do it, like when on my vacation, I switch really quick. Or like even when I go, like when I went to the ashram, and like in one day I just switch and I would wake up at 4 a.m. and I would do my practice
And you can go to sleep at 10, and no problem.
Oh yeah, and even my days off, if I'm tired, I go to sleep. I don't have a problem. Like I just can sleep when I'm with my body.
That's good. Wondering if you go to sleep so easily because you're exhausted.
No, I'm not. I actually am not. I don't know, I'm not. I guess it might be my diet. I don't know. Maybe everything else.
Well, you know, everything can be taken care of if then you're mindful enough to take care of the other stuff. You know, to work a lot around that night shift, so you can just compensate and nourish yourself enough.
Yeah. I'd probably be a mess if I wouldn't be taking care of myself, because I see how people around me are.
That's what I see. That's these girls that I see. And the moment they start, as I was saying, the moment you start drinking and doing drugs, and of course it just messes up your digestive system and everything, then it's just that.
Right.
So, how do we promote sleep? What can we do to promote sleep?
Exercise,
Moderate exercise,
routine.
cardio, mostly cardio, moderate cardio helps sleep. Moderate cardio.
A routine, like at a certain time, be in bed.
A routine helps a lot. Abhyanga is one of the best things you can do for sleep. If you have a person, Abhyanga is normally recommended in the mornings, as we will see.
What's that?
Massage. That's part of the Dinacharya. We're gonna get into that. But if you have a person with serious sleep problems, high vata normally, Abhyanga, we switch it to the evening. Then we do Abhyanga in the evening. We do what we'll see today about, I'll mention it again.
Brahmi oil helps too. The Brahmi oil for your feet.
Yes, but Brahmi, you have to be careful with Brahmi when we're talking about high vata, because Brahmi is more of a pitta herb than a vata herb. So if your vata is too high, Brahmi might exacerbate that vata. So you will have to see where vata is in order to advise Brahmi. But you can do sesame in the feet, but I'm talking about the whole body massage.
Oh, okay.
I'm
No,
talking
I was
about,
talking about the feet.
yeah, the feet is good, but I'm talking about the whole body massage. Instead of doing it in the morning, do it in the
Sesame,
evening
sesame.
for people that are suffering from sleep problems. Okay. Ayurveda recommends almond milk. Okay, and almond milk is actually not from the almonds. It's actually from the cow. So it's milk with blanched almonds and then a pinch of nutmeg. And that's a drink that you can take before you go to bed, and that's very nourishing. And nutmeg is a sedative, so that works really well. But we don't do milk, so you can use almond milk, you can use goat's milk if you want, but you know, it's not the same. It's not the same properties. Tea that works wonders for me is skullcap and chamomile. Tea of skullcap and chamomile. Skullcap is a type of mint. It's a nervine. And that combination works really, really well. You can even use it for kids, for children.
I drink a tea of chamomile.
Skullcap is even more powerful than chamomile, so the combination works really well. If you add lemon balm to that, it knocks you out.
What about the kava tea?
Kava tea?
Kava? I drink this kava tea from the brand Mochi, and it really does like.
No, kava is very sedative. That's what I
Yeah.
hear. I haven't tried kava, so I cannot speak on kava. There's a kava bar in South East.
I don't know. I don't like it.
I've never been there, but I heard about it.
Yeah.
I went one time to one of them, but it was in Melbourne, and like up north.
Yeah, I've been to the one in Cornwall.
Yeah, but what it did to me is just I drink it and I just start laughing.
It's just
And
the
I
one
said,
you water and it doesn't do anything.
It tastes like earthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. The times I've drank it, it's the one that I buy at the store. That one like puts me like it eases me really nice into sleep. It's not like a sudden.
No, but this is the dose of the.
But
Yeah,
the
but
other ones
that's-
that they give you in the shots.
The drink, yeah.
But the one you take is the yogi tea, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
But that's mixed with other
Yeah,
herbs. Yeah.
yeah, the one when I've gone to Wynwood and I've been to their kava bar, like I drank this one and I was like,
Yeah, they say you're not supposed to drive after that.
I was like that. I was like, what's going on? This is legal? I was like, I couldn't believe it.
It's not legal in some states.
I don't know why.
Kentucky and Tennessee or something, it's not legal. Anyway, what else does Charaka tells us? Warm baths, of course, we know that. Wine, a little bit of wine, of course, will allow you to sleep. A good meal with heavy food will make you heavy and sleepy, okay, but we shouldn't take that like a routine, okay. And then we were talking about that yesterday, sandalwood paste. Sandalwood, I use the oil, but you put the oil on your third eye and on your temples. This sandalwood is very cooling, so it's both Vata and Pitta pacifying, but it's more of a Pitta thing. It's for the intellect to just stop, to cool down the mind. So it's more for Pitta conditions, and that you do sandalwood, okay? To me, the most effective is to do a Bianca, take a warm bath, and drink chamomile and skullcap tea. And lemon balm if you just want to be knocked out. And that's it. And that works really well. Then we have herbal formulations. Matya. It's called Matya. You learned that in herbology, okay? When we use Brahmi and Tamansi and Gotukola, Tagar, and all these things. Shakapushki. So this is Nidra. Now, do we know what Yoga Nidra is? Okay, what's Yoga Nidra, Luciana?
I fell asleep actually. Every time I do it, I fall asleep when I do the yoga nidra. So it really, I think it's very effective on me. It's, so I can't really explain it. I guess my teacher is saying that that's what I needed it and it's normal to be that way. It's a meditation that kind of puts you to sleep.
Yoga Nidra is the sleep of the yogis. So the very advanced yogi doesn't really sleep. They go into this Yoga Nidra trance or condition, and then they stay there for 3 or 4 hours, and that's how they regenerate body and mind. So if you ever go now, be careful where you go, because everybody's doing Yoga Nidra, okay? Or offering Yoga Nidra. So it's kind of new agey. You can go to them. Okay.
Yeah, one person.
I know where you go. So you need to find somebody who is really rooted into the yogic tradition and knows what they're doing, like everything else, like pranayama, like everything else. In Yoga Nidra, it's a type of mindfulness, basically. You go through mindfulness. It can be done through breathing, or it can be done through scanning your body, points in your body. Okay, and then eventually you come to the heart, and you go deep in the heart, which is where the self resides. That's how I learned my yoga. And I don't know if he does it the same way. And that's where the self abides. So you go deep into the heart. Okay, and that's where you stay. And you go into this very deep meditation, actually. And most people will fall asleep. You don't even get to the heart. You fall asleep halfway. You never get to the heart.
I never fall asleep, but Yoga Nidra does.
Yoga Nidra does because you calm down so much.
Conscious sleep.
Conscious sleep. So this is a type that it's fun to experience. Not fun, but it's interesting to experience. It's a very relaxing, extremely relaxing technique. I use it for stress management, and it works really, really well. 99% of people never get, they never get halfway through it, you know. People are snoring. Yoga Nidra is half an hour. People are snoring by 5 minutes. 5 minutes, somebody's snoring already. You know, it's just a state of tremendous relaxation. Okay, so very good to do. The person that meditates every day doesn't need so much sleep. That's another thing with the sleep, because meditation, when you go to the deep levels, it regenerates you. Also, I believe another thing. And it is that whatever karma you have with a certain type of illness doesn't need to be put into fruition if you do meditate. If you take yourself to higher levels of consciousness, then you will be evolving naturally, and you will not need those harsh conditions that illness brings about in order to evolve. So we could say that meditation prevents cancer. This is quite an statement. Is that thing recorded? But I believe so. I believe so. Because cancer is a very karmic experience. And I think the same thing we can achieve by going through cancer, we can achieve by going through meditation. Okay. So the last of the three Triyapastambhas is the three pillars is brahmacharya. Brahmacharya appears in the Yoga Sutras, the fourth yama. It said that brahmacharya we can say it's proper sexual behavior. Some people say it's restraint of sex, which is not the best way of describing it. The best way of describing it, I think, is to save I'm trying to find an attribute for the energy. That energy could be raw energy, the energy of your essence. Is to save that energy so you can use that to help you in your life purpose. Let's take a journey through the datus. We eat food. We digest food. Where does it go?
First that is rasa.
Rasa. So it goes into Rasa Dhatu. Rasa Dhatu takes whatever it needs and
Gives to Rakta.
delivers to Rakta. Rakta takes whatever it needs, delivers to, from Mansa goes to, from Meda goes to, from Asti to, Maja, from Maja to, Shukra, Artha. So, Shukra receives the least amount of nourishment. So we have the least Shukra, the least tissue. But it is the most powerful of them all. What happens after Shukra? Ojas. So Ojas takes the essence of Shukra to make up the immune system, right? And then Ojas is divided into refined Ojas and non-refined Ojas. We have so many drops in the heart and all that stuff you have here. Okay. We ran out of drops, boom, we drop out. So, if Ojas is our immune system, if Ojas is our vitality, the source of vitality and strength and everything, and it comes out of Shukra, and we just go around spreading our Shukra everywhere, what will happen to our Ojas? Very, extremely. Okay? So we need to find what is the purpose of this Shukra so we don't misuse it. So that's the whole idea of brahmacharya. Okay? When a person is fully devoted to moksha, then we understand completely that we need all these resources so they can sublimate and go and take them to the upper chakras and help us fulfill our ultimate purpose in life. Okay? And then we could talk about Kundalini and all that, but we're not going to do that. So, when we talk about brahmacharya as truthfulness in Ayurveda, that truthfulness is referring to the purpose of life, to what's our true essence and where we're going with it. Other than that, we can use it for the other three purposes. And Shukra, of course, has a use beyond the spiritual. Its progeny is to continuate the circus, the story. So in yoga, in Ayurveda, sex is highly revered as a way of deep connection between human beings. It's a sacred ritual. For two reasons. One, because it brings us to a deeper, deep connection, and two, because we can create a new life, a new expression of the divine, of consciousness. That's why it's so important and so sacred. That's where Tantra makes sense. Where Shiva and Shakti are just when Prakriti and